BrentoCast, Season 2, with your host, Brent Bowers.
And we're back with another BrentoCast. It's June 3rd, 2024. This is episode 59. It's been about 2 weeks and a day or so since the last BrentoCast. Situation is pretty much the same with regards to Mom and her health care crisis. We're just another 2 weeks into it, folks, and everything that was bothering us before, sleep deprivation, frustration with, keeping Mom motivated and not too incredibly bored being in there. All that is just, 2 weeks further along. Now we're fighting a battle with her healthcare coverage folks, Humana, trying to basically send her home every 2 days. We have to appeal that. And by we, I mean me. I have to call an 800 number and give a little bit of information and give a statement. Not such a big deal, except for the fact that we go through the stress every time of thinking there's a chance that they might try to send her home, meaning we would go on to a scenario where we had, we're billed more money than we could pay to get her that health care that she so desperately needs right now. I guess she's making some progress in rehab, and if she stops making progress long enough, they'll basically try to use that as a preface for sending her home. Well, she's not going to get any better, but virtually everyone in healthcare knows that you can make huge strides in the first year after a stroke, including coming all the way back. I'm just praying and hoping for her to at least get to the point where she can stand up on her own. If we can get that left leg activated, that'd be a game changer. God knows that it would be a game changer. And we're just praying and hoping right now that she gets back to that point of independence, that we could potentially take her home. Right now, the struggles are numerous. Even if I think she would get some assistance and she would get some rehab. They would try to line up a bed and a chair and all that, but there's bigger issues than that. Like actually at her home, gosh, we'd have to move out furniture for sure, and there's a real obstacle with getting anything wide into that house. It was built in the 70s with accessibility not being a main concern. We've had major issues trying to get like sofas and love seats and stuff like that in there. And it's not so much that we couldn't take some doors off and get her and the stuff she had to have in there, but in the case of a fire or something like that, egress would not be something we could do quick. So, I don't know. It's a riddle wrapped in a conundrum, and I'm just like hoping for providence and good movement forward on her progress, so that that's not such a concern. And the really funny thing is, I know all of this. I know the insurance part of it is just a wicked, evil corporate thing where they're trying to, spend as little money on her for the money she's paid in, and it's just pure filthy lucre profiteering. That's all that is. And I know this, and I know that their whole game is to just keep trying. So in other words, they say, oh, she's ready to go home, and a third party company provides a doctor with no financial interest to look at it and see if he agrees with that, or if he agrees with us, no, she still needs her therapy. We've had 6 or 7 of these, and they've always sided with us. She still needs her therapy. But, eventually they're going to find a doctor to agree with them, and they're allowed to appeal indefinitely. Now, this is extremely unfair because we are not allowed to appeal indefinitely. I think we get essentially one appeal, which if we lose, we have to pay for her while she's waiting those 3 days for that appeal. Same with Medicaid. If we cannot get her on Medicaid, and we've already applied for Medicaid, but apparently they have sent back a form to my brother asking for the exact same information that we have all already provided. So it's just a game. It's just a game to get you hooked into a huge bill, and it's a bill that financially we're actually just not able to pay. What they want you to do is give your mom all your assets so that they can seize those. This is I don't know if this is actually from the institution, because they can charge up to $10,000 a month, but Medicaid only ultimately pays them just over $2,000 a month. So you see, it's a financial motivation for them to get the money from you instead of getting it from the state or Humana or whoever. So that makes it feel like you don't really trust anything they tell you during this whole process. So it is stressful. But you know what? I mean, they don't know who they're messing with. If I got to do it every 2 days, I'll do it every 2 days. If I got to worry about it for a day and a half or 2 days, every 4 days, I'll do that. But the problem is, when you have other life stuff going on, you wake up at 4 o'clock, like for example, it's 4:32 right now. My dog was a little whiny, wanted out, then didn't want out when he saw that it was raining. So I got up twice in a row. Here I am, wide awake, thinking about the whole situation with Mom, knowing that I have at least 2 clients today. I have other responsibilities. Of course, I got to go visit her at least once and do the massage on her leg and put this CBD stuff on that helps her. And, I'm glad to do it. But the point is, it's just no regular schedule and whatnot. So I had this thing this weekend. Well, actually, this whole week has been a little odd. I had 2 performances at Loafers this week. One was just supposed to be an open jam, which essentially nobody came out for. So it became me playing piano on the deck. No big deal. Then my actual performance was Saturday night, and I do that so I can leave gear down there. I stack that open mic with my show, and it, if not a lot of people show out, then it really doesn't look great. It looks like I'm trying to take advantage, which I'm not. I haven't played there in 3 months, and I know these slow nights can happen to people. It's not. I don't take it personal. But for example, there was like other things going on. It was the weekend after Memorial Day. I thought people would have been back from vacation. Maybe they weren't. Juneberry Ridge had some sort of music event that one of the big patrons of Loafers was speaking at. So that meant him and his whole crew of usually 10 to 14 people weren't there. So at the last minute on Saturday night, I just thought I'm going to really reach out to some people. And and then, of course, I had Zach come and play a few songs for my friend Zach came and played a few songs. And anytime he comes, not great about showing up to practice, but definitely will come to just play and, get in front of a crowd, which I guess I get that. But he always brings, 4 to 6 people, and he did. So he brought 4 to 6 people. My buddy Jake came. He brought 2 people. Then we had one friend of Nancy's come, and then Nancy came. So if not for those 10 people or so, I'd have been playing for like 6 people at the bar all night, which would not have been great. It was my first piano-only show, and I guess it went okay. I could have been a little more prepared as far as set lists and having my music. I tried to use the Ultimate Guitar app to pull up songs and just sort of go through them, and really that was a little too slow. In retrospect, I probably should have that printed out if I ever do that again, but I don't know. It's like I had this huge build-up. I practiced piano for about a month every day. Had this huge build-up, and then it was just an okay night. And I had fun, but I don't know if it really would be the kind of thing I would do again for a while. But as it so happens, I've given myself another booking next month. We'll just see. If I were to have 1 or 2 more shows like this, I don't know. It might just crush my desire to actually play live for a while. You want that feedback. That's what the work is about. It's certainly not about the limited money that you would ever make. And of course, you're going to spend more money than you make. You guys probably hear my dog whining out there. Twice I have taken him off the leash, let him get water and food inside. When we go outside, I put the collar back on him, but he don't want to go outside. He's like, "Oh, it's raining. I don't want to go outside." So I'm having this thing right now where I don't even know what he wants. Now, I guess this could either come off as super authentic or super annoying, all the background noises, but I'm literally recording this while I'm getting ready for the day, putting things in the dryer, for example, as you're about to hear right now. It's kind of funny because I'm having to take these peppermint baths because it is the season of the tick. Let me tell you, ticks are especially bad this year. I guess it didn't get cold enough last winter, and we are really battling it. So I have 2 dogs that live inside. One of them is indoor outdoor, but the one that's in the bed with us my elderly poodle Beauty, she goes out to do her business in the grass, and she loves to bring ticks back in. I'm pretty diligent about washing her, but it's just been tough to keep them off me. Now, we've had a real epidemic of these little tiny deer ticks this year that have just been brutal. They like to get you kind of like on the haunches, just under your scapula, kind of coming around the side, which is a hard spot to get off of yourself, and it's just not been a barrel of monkeys, let me say. But anyway, getting out of this peppermint bath always makes you a little cold. It's definitely not cold, but I feel cold, so I digress. You hear my dog whining in there. I don't know what he wants. I think it's just attention. I got a tick off of him earlier when I was petting him, and now I think he's just wanting me to pay him some attention. Boy, just like some attention, like a whole lot of people, like me too, I guess. I'm going through this thing where, you can't help but get a little bit of woe is me. And I know, on the whole, things are not bad for me. Just extra frustration with the mom situation, And I get very down in the mouth about that. Oh, you're not back in you want to get back in your box? Or why are you crying? Oh, you want to go outside? You know what? I'm going to let you go outside. I'm going to make you go outside for 10 minutes. How about that? Get on out. He'll stop at the door and he won't want to come outside, but he's got his girlfriend, which we call her Mama Dog. She is just a local Labrador that was the pup of another dog that did the exact same thing. Too smart to be caught, won't be tame, but wants to live around our house and eat our food and whatnot. And he impregnated the Mama Dog, which makes me think this dog was his offspring. But she will not stay on the porch. She sleeps out in the rain. But other than that, she stays around here. And he has been fixed, but he is still keenly interested in her. Anytime she's out there, he wants to be out there. And he'll just kind of lay in the sun. I mean, he can only get about 15 feet off the porch, and she'll come up and lay by him and hang out and whatnot. So in a weird sort of way, it's his family. I'm not sure he understands what kind of family, but he wants to be out there with her. But yeah, so I go through this little woe is me phase, and I've said before that, like, as I've gotten older, when I do these performances, I talk a lot about the only reason to do music for 90% of the people that do it, maybe even a larger number, is for you, because people don't really care. Even me, and I'm a music fan and a musician, but when I'm at a club or a restaurant and there's live music, I appreciate it for about 90 seconds, unless I'm just there to see that band. And I'm likely to give them a tip because I'm a musician myself, but most people don't even think about that. It's an afterthought if they do, or they'll see somebody else do it and do it. And so you put all this energy into performing, and at least at my level, which I'm not a professional, but you put all this energy into getting ready to perform. You go, and if you have a great night, there's this great endorphin rush, and it's a feedback that you really need as a person that keeps playing live. And I think this is the thing that stopped most of my friends that are casually into music from performing. Either that, or they get in a church band, or where they get that, elsewhere, whatever. But in my case, here's me thinking I've made this little bit of a breakthrough on the piano, and then I have a show where basically just a couple, really just three people came to actually see me, four people apart from Nancy. Then Zach's crew came to see Zach, but at least they were kind to me as well. And his girlfriend and his dad are always there, and they always clap and make a big deal out of clapping for me and all that, And I appreciate that. I can't even tell you. It's like without that, it's like, dude, why am I doing this? And I know the answer to that question, but every now and then you want to ask it. It's like, I'm doing it for me, because ultimately I feel driven to create. But anyway, after a show like that, particularly in this case where I had two shows with just one day in between. Now, to be fair, they pay me for this, so I shouldn't feel this way. But the next day, I'll come down a little bit emotionally. I don't know. I'll get down. And then yesterday I was getting down, and I was thinking, man, for the band member or band leader that I have been to other people,
and how loyal I have been, and how I would always show up, even sick if I had to, particularly prior to the COVID. For all that, and you flip that around, and how often people no show on me at the last minute cancel, or how little loyalty they seem to have, even if I put together gigs where I can try to get them paid, or at least get cool scenarios where they can play in front of a cool crowd. Like, I put a lot of effort into that. How little comes back my way. And it's like, man, even people that I feel like a kinship with, either they don't have this drive to still want to play live. And I do have it, but there's times when it feels shaky, where I'm like, oh God, I could just see myself just recording or playing here at the store and really not even playing out public again. I could see that happening. And I don't, it's like, I feel like I've worked hard to get to the point where I can pull off a show without a lot of specific rehearsal just for that. And that's because I've remained active, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to slide backwards. I want to go forward with music. And anyway, all that just to say that kind of bummed me out a little bit. And finally, after we've had, I don't know, like a month off, we were supposed to get the Little Legends group back together on Sunday. I now have a print lab up there in that same space, so it's going to be a little challenging, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to get everything put back together so that we can play at least once in a while, and then Harrison and I can get back on the task of writing new music. All that said, Harrison and I have 3 albums we have to put out, so there's work around that, which I need to be doing. Still working on a VHS capture project for my friend and client, Ron Vigil. Ron talked to me yesterday about wanting to go back to the studio and rework the one song on the album that was like just his, make changes to it. And he's talked about it enough now that I actually need to do it. My version of the song is on the album. I'm not even concerned about that. So if he wants another version just to listen to that's different arrangement or whatever, that's what we're going to do. So I got to reach out to Eddie about that, because I would just not even try to do that at my place. It would just be straight at Snug Record Studio if I can get him to agree to it. So that brings us to a close. I guess I'll just mention that like spiritually, trying to be a good guy and trying to get active in church has been harder than I thought, although I've made some visits. And I'm not even talking about like music. I'm just talking about like being. I was talking to my buddy Joe. Joe and I went to the same church. When we were both about 11, he's about my age. When we were both about 11, we've had similar journeys in some ways. And when we were both about 11, we helped build New Hope Mission. Like, I'm talking about climbing up on the ladders, taking wood up for the roofs. And his dad and my dad, both who have now passed away, were they were professionals in construction, and they helped do that. And we have a lot of memories of going there. But I was just talking about how, I'm not saying that church was perfect by any means, but it was truly a church family. Like, everybody there socialized with everybody else there. There were no cliques. As far as the pastor and his wife, pretty much everybody there at that church went over to their house for dinner. And if you had a family member sick, they would come visit that family member. And, Nancy and I pay tithes at one church, and we visit other churches regularly. Apart from Mom's pastor, I don't think anybody has come to visit her from any church. And I rarely, if ever, get asked, "How's your mom doing?" by the people that I am trying to be involved with at church. So it's just, it's not like this is a crazy world, but it's not like I hold them to any kind of a standard. But the observation is, we don't have church families anymore. We pay tithes to go to church and go to church somewhere. And, that's, "Hey, thanks for coming. Good to see you. How you doing?" Now, they might ask, if it's really convenient and you're in your face, they might, you're in their face, they might say, "How's your mom?" I've noticed like a lot of people's tendency when I say, "Well, it's complicated, she's doing her best. She's trying. She's still paralyzed, and I'm trying to keep her chin up, and she's struggling, but she's ready to come out of there." And I mean, like, emotionally ready to come out of there. And they're like, "Oh, great. I'm glad she's doing better." And I'm like, dude, did you even hear the words coming out? Like a friend of, well, I still think he's a friend, but unfortunately he's not been showing much interest in me or my stuff because he's wrapped up in his stuff, I guess. And unfortunately he's gotten wrapped up in a church that I went to that I found to be just a professional income for somebody. And he's totally buying the whole nine, there. And I kind of warned him about this place, how they would suck your time up. But boy, he's all about it now. He's going, staying there about half a day on Sunday and then doing 2 music practices a week, which, I mean, I've been there. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, but this is one of the so-called friends that has gotten where he really won't call me back very much and all this. And I don't have any great expectations. It's just an observation really more than anything else. But, these folks are so wrapped up in their own thing, and I totally get that. I may not be being the best friend to some people right now. I mean, I hope I am, but I was like, now if I was a tattoo covered guy who was an addict, I was a recovering addict or a recovering alcoholic, and I was out there publicly trying to make some changes and all this, man, good people and Christians everywhere would be breaking themselves to support me. I mean, they'd be all over my Facebook. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, I mean, I witnessed it on Facebook. Now, that said, I've never been an addict, thank God, and maybe I'm missing out on a little bit of that obvious, or hey, is it even real? It's like, it might be just a construct because it's on Facebook, but like, that kind of love and just quick support. And if this person does any music, they're all over it. Oh, you're so talented. God's really blessed you, et cetera, et cetera. I don't get that. But then again, I also don't get the lifelong hell that it really is addiction. So I know that God knows what he's doing, and he's always provided for us, and his grace has always been enough for us as a family. And I expect that to continue. So I'm just going to believe and trust in him and expect providence like I've always had it. So, it may not work out exactly the way that I wanted it to work out with my mom, but I know that it's going to work out, to the greater good of God. And a lot of people, I think, maybe think that I'm not such a Christian because I don't pray dance and I don't shout and jump around. But, in the same way, it's just how my psyche is geared. I mean, I'm giving God the glory for sure, at least on Facebook. And when people talk to me, I mean, I try to say, hey, like, how's mom doing? Like, well, she's not great, but I mean, all you got to do is go up there to Trinity Place and spend 5 minutes and you'll see like a dozen people way worse off than she is. So, being thankful for where you're at and what you have. And at least I still have time to talk to my mom, and I don't have that with my dad. So, although that said, then that brings up I'm so glad he didn't have to go through something like this. He left this world relatively quickly and with a little bit of a heads up, so everybody got to say goodbyes and stuff like that. But, that's not the way it's going with mom. And I hope that these aren't her final days. I hope she lives a long time, but I want her to have a quality of life. So, there's that conundrum and sort of emotional struggle that you deal with. But anyway, what else? Let's see here. I have recently, finally, after about maybe close to 2 years of an active subscription on Midjourney.com, which is the main AI image creation platform, I have canceled my subscription to that, and I'm stepping back from AI. And I think I'm on the verge of making another change to my hobbies. I want to focus on 3D printing for a bit. And I think as a result of that, I'm going to kind of step back from the whole DAZ Studio 3D, 3D human image creation type software that I've been involved in. And unfortunately, I've got a couple products that are not finished that I've paid for, so I have to get those out in the store. And I'm just trying to find the inspiration to do that, to at least make some of that money back. And once I do, I think I've got a character based on my dad right now called William HD. And if I can get that one put out, I think I'm going to officially semi-retire from that. I'm going to stop producing any kind of content for that and just leave what I got out there and at least take a year break from making anything and just see if there's any kind of a spark that makes me want to get back into it. Daz3D.com, where I sell it, used to be a place that a guy like me could make some money, but they've changed things and they've continued to water down the quality by just getting too many people involved, and I know that's them trying to grow, but that place has been so grossly mismanaged at this point, and they're even trying to get into the AI game too, so I don't know where that leaves a guy like me. I never did it for money. I did it because I was into the hobby, and making a little money back when you spend money on something was good, but I've spent so much money on that stuff over the years, and I'm trying to be more fiscally responsible with things like that. So I think I'm going to pull back from that. I've stopped spending on it, that's for sure. That's only a good thing. But right now I'm trying to pay off this print form. I have ordered another Tina 2, which for I think $80, which is a bargain. And just as I got that one on the way, my original Tina 2 has started to have some problems with. I got a clog, and I don't know how quite to get it unclogged. So I'm trying to deal with that right now, and if I can get that going, hopefully I'll have 3 printers going, which is great. But the Bamboo, the big one, the expensive one, it's doing wonderful. It's putting out some great prints. So all of which you can see in the store. If you go into our plant section and purchase any succulents, you can see some containers, some cute little planters that I have made. There's also some instruments and some fidget toys, and I continue to expand that just about every day. So I guess that's going to be it for BrentoCast number 50 something. I forget what I said. Gosh, I'm sleepy, but that's a good number. We're getting up to about 30 minutes, so we'll leave it there. And in future times, hopefully I'll be able to reflect that even though life has me down a little bit right now, I ain't out, and I'm still swinging. And hopefully next BrentoCast will be a lot more cheerful than this one. And, again, God's in control. Hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for listening.